Welcome to Graybeard Radio, where we turn wisdom into impact and income, and gurus and fakery are reviled. I'm your host, Matt Hempel, bringing you conversations with and for men 50 plus who prioritize health and longevity, relevance and meaningful work, and connection, all while leveraging the best in tools and technology. Ladies, welcome. No beard required. Okay, welcome back to Graybeard Radio. I'm your host, Matt Hempel. Once again, got a very special guest for us today. Is a little bit different of an angle we're going to take with this interview because we're interviewing somebody I think that's very relevant to all the topics that we discuss here at Graybeard Radio. But in particular, we're going to talk about AI today quite a bit. And just to introduce you to Erik Newby, a short bio. Erik Newby grew up as part of a missionary family attending Black Forest Academy in Germany, which is an international Christian boarding school. And his parents were missionaries and Christian workers that were all over the world, basically. But he went on to earn his BA in graphic design, web design, and photography from Taylor University. He studied a crossover of arts and computer science. And after graduation, Erik launched his career running his own creative agency, Newby Media, also serving as lead web developer for the Grunwald Guild and web design director for Big Day Photography. In 2011, he joined Red Hat, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina, right down the street from where I live. And it's how we kind of got introduced through some mutual acquaintances and some mutual friends. He has spent over 14 years growing from an application developer to his current role as director of global software engineering. So I find this very unique that Erik's special blend of art and design background combined with his extensive software engineering and leadership experience allows him to navigate large cross-organizational projects with people in a 30 plus people sized team, building alignment and trust while continuously seeking to improve and learn from those around him. He's also charged with being in a leadership position with respect to Red Hat as it pertains to artificial intelligence and how AI will be implemented in their company and in their business, and particularly examining the effects of AI in software development overall and its impact on business models, the economy, and the workforce at large. So with all of that said, Erik, welcome. It's great to see you. You are the Director of Software Engineering at Red Hat, and you're deeply involved in AI implementation. Before we dive into the meat of the interview here, give the listeners a sense of your role and what you're actually working on day to day with respect to AI at Red Hat. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt. It's great to see you again. And it's fun to hear my history put together in a short window like that. That's right. I think it's an interesting journey to get to where I've been today. Often I will start by saying, I am one of those who came into the tech industry not by trade, but sort of stumbled in. It happened during the financial crisis and kind of pulling up myself by my bootstraps, figuring out what I'm going to do. So really great opportunity. I just feel like I was kind of led there and was given this chance at a Red Hat, a fairly large company, and has kind of just throughout the years moved into management, where I'm now, like you said, managing teams across the globe. And as of recently, maybe even more recent since you and I talked, I'm now helping our entire organization of about 600 folks, engineers and product managers, to figure out how to adopt an agentic software development lifecycle. This is and we can get into details of this, or we can fly over it. That's fine. But this is a big thing that the entire tech industry is trying to figure out right now. I do not have all the answers, but we are certainly at the cusp of a lot of new things right now. It is very exciting and terrifying at times.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, so with the agentic software, anybody who has any exposure out here to internet world and the marketing world across the internet, all kinds of different models are just cropped up even in the last 3 months, I feel like, with Claude Code and OpenClaw and some of these other some of these other models that are really based on self-operating, independent
Mhm.
AI agents that you can give a list of instructions to. Maybe you could just dig into that a little bit more in terms of the definition of agentic software development and how it is that you see that playing out here going into the future, maybe over the next 6 or 12 months. And then we can get into a little bit more detail on some other things.
Great. Yeah, sure. I would say there was a very clear shift that it felt like it happened in December 2025.
Mm-hmm.
There was I think, a perfect storm of things. The frontier models like Claude Opus 4.6 and various others had gotten to a point of just I'll use the word intelligence lightly, but there was certainly a growth there that took place. And then alongside that, the type of tooling that has become available to allow you to do genuinely helpful work beyond just the glorified AI chatbot that we've been used to now for several years.
Yep.
With that shift, it's sort of the whole. I think what's happening partly is the software industry is the first one to get hit hard by this, and it's sort of if you want to call it, the canary in the coal mine of sorts, to show like, hey, this is where we're headed. Because again, this is all computers. It's zeros and ones. This is what the LLMs are going to know best anyway, like from the start, right? So this is the worst it's ever going to be. We're at the front of it because we are in the software day to day. And so I'm having a lot of conversations on a day-to-day basis of, everything from the engineers who are super excited to see this progress to folks who are worried like, hey, am I going to still have a job in a few months?
Yeah.
I feel like what we're building here is replacing me, and being able to kind of talk through that and figure out what the future looks like. It's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, and that really kind of segues, and you kind of took my next question right out of my mouth. I mean, you're leading all of these engineering teams and getting into agentic software development with AI. I was just going to ask you, what do you say to that 25-year-old guy that comes on board and was told to learn to code and just now is really wondering if he made the wrong bet?
I think this is a moment in time where things are kind of coming together. What I would say is, look, if you truly are saying like, hey, I type code to get paid, then I would say you may need to reevaluate your next steps. What I would say immediately, though, is level up by getting into system thinking and be able to break down problems and evaluate solutions. That's really where this is what I'm telling my engineers. It's really saying, look, your skills are still very valuable. We're just asking you to kind of move up the stack one layer to where you're thinking more strategically and you're able to orchestrate the if you want to call it the grunt work of actual syntax typing.
Yeah, and all big, huge impacts on the workforce, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd like to do, though, is to connect it to something that we had talked about a little bit earlier, and that is young men. So we talked a little bit about young men and what the challenges that they face in the world. Not all young men, of course, but as a generalization and as a cohort of men, maybe in their 20s into their early 30s, they're not just facing AI disruption, they're struggling potentially economically, not forming relationships, not getting married, not having families, or just finding it very, very difficult to do so. Guys are single, or living with their parents sometimes, feeling lost and directionless. And so I'd love to hear your opinion and your thoughts on kind of what's happening here, and how much is it economics, how much is technology and AI, or maybe is there something deeper that's going on that is really causing a void in sort of meaning and purpose in this younger generation of guys?
Yeah. It's interesting when I talk to younger guys or just younger generations in general, I do sense there's just this deep longing and desire just for meaning, wanting to know that they're a part of something that's important,
Yeah.
and that their their life has meaning and what they're doing has meaning. And I think that's a part that's been, I'm not sure exactly the right wording to put into it, other than sort of just been stripped away from our culture, especially for young men, where we are in desperate need of new leaders. Uh, there are, of course, wonderful women leaders too, but since we're talking specifically about men,
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Jonathan Haidt's work. I think you might be familiar with his work as well. He's sort of the one who's really helped kind of kick off the broad conversation around how social media, how mobile phones have really had such a negative impact on the development of children,
Uh-huh.
and how we've lost our play-based childhood. And on top of that, you also now have and I'm raising my own hand here, I'm a parent, but you have parents
Uh-huh.
who tend towards the more overprotective, keeping, creating bubbles, keeping you away from things. I think a lot of this it's coming from different angles, what's causing this. Um, Now, what I worry about is AI. So you already have this sort of isolation and an easier way to disconnect by doom scrolling. Now add
Yes.
AI to this, and you have this
Yes.
supercomputer that has its compute
Yeah.
pointed directly at your brain, knowing exactly what you need to
Yeah.
just keep you engaged. I mean, that's what social media has been. Now
Yeah.
adding AI on this, I really think that this is going to be the challenge and what we really need to work on. And maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but I think what I would want to see is the older generation being able to sort of reconnect and be mentors, be leaders to the younger generation. Human relationships here is what's so key. It's going to be very easy to just further disconnect and let AI
Yeah.
be your companion, and that's a scary future, I think, and um, something I think
Yeah.
about a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about these issues a lot, and it's becoming more and more evident now that I think through things a little more deeply, is that this whole issue and this continuum and theme of humanity throughout all of this technology acceleration and everything, um, people sitting down and actually having a conversation with another real human being is going to be especially important. And people that are able to have conversations, real meaningful conversations and connection with other people, whether it's
Mm.
peer to peer or whether it's perhaps somebody a little bit older mentoring somebody a little bit younger. Um, Absolutely, that's really uh, popping for me as
Yeah,
an
yeah,
important theme that we can't ignore.
and
The
I
other thing,
mm.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just thinking too, and this of course gets into maybe some of the political stuff, but I can't think of a single culturally shaping institution right now that isn't telling young men, especially white young men, to just
Mm.
sit down, be quiet, and listen. Your voice has no place here. Um,
Yeah,
that's an extreme way of putting it, but that is a subtext message throughout culture right now that is affecting our young, upcoming leaders that we desperately need.
yeah, and it's been happening for a while,
Yeah.
and I think people are finally putting an identifier on it. They're putting a pin in it, and being able to actually identify that as a real issue, particularly for that demographic that you just described. And all of it, in my view, also can really contributes to the whole mental health crisis. And again, I don't, not to go back too far, but I grew up and kind of came of age in the 70s and 80s, and you know, we we just didn't have this. We didn't use this term mental health.
Mm.
We didn't talk about things like depression, anxiety, suicide, and it wasn't a thing. It just wasn't heard of. And at this stage, I mean, you're hiring and managing younger developers and managers that may work for you or in other departments. Like, what are you seeing on that front in terms of mental health for these younger guys in particular? And how does it all connect back into all of the different facets of being alive and being young in 2026?
I would say I feel very fortunate to be working at a company like Red Hat because, and I can only speak for Red Hat here at this point, but they really do care about you as an individual holistically.
Mm-hmm.
I am fully empowered to tell my developer who just had his who's had some family issues go on, just like,
Mm-hmm.
go take the time you need,
Yeah.
open-ended, no issue, family comes first. The only way you're going to provide value here and to me
Yeah.
selfishly is if you're actually doing well. So
Yeah.
being able to have that, and then have that myself too, being able as a dad and a husband, to be able to have that true work and personal balance has been absolutely key, I think, to the mental health sort of where things are at Red Hat. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I've worked for a couple of big companies. I worked for KPMG Consulting back in the early 2000s. They turned into Bearing Point, and it was a big, pretty sophisticated operation even then. And they were just starting to get into this um, interest in. They didn't call it mental health, I don't think, but they really called it more of a holistic approach to developing and supporting the employee. And it just started to become lots of programs. And you know, I have my I have my issues, my personal issues and viewpoints on corporate America today.
sure.
I will say though that I think that some corporations, perhaps even a lot of them or most of them, have handled this particular aspect of really expecting a lot, paying people well, but expecting a lot from them, but supporting them
Mm.
in a very, very much a holistic manner that they really, I don't think when I first got started, you know, it wasn't like they didn't give a crap about you as an employee, but
Yeah.
it was much less of a, was much less of sort of a two-way relational,
Mm.
uh, um, we're both interested parties in this employer situation. So, you know, it's, I think there's actually some
Yeah.
good things that have
Yeah.
come out of all of that.
And
Um,
so, and just to also follow up on that too, because I think bringing sort of AI back into that as part of the lens here, I think this is a challenge right now. Is how are we, not just me, but how are we kind of figuring out the future here and addressing the anxiety that is bringing to certain engineers? There certainly is this feeling like, hey,
yeah,
okay, we need to change something
yeah,
here, and everybody's kind of on edge. What is this going to mean? Giving, as a leader, having a vision that you can lay out is, maybe this is an obvious thing to
yeah.
say on this type of a call or a interview, but that's certainly been a key part of what I'm trying to help shape as well.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into really the next question that I have, and it really kind of ties into that. So, you know, if you're sitting down with a young guy right now, maybe somebody that works for you or anybody really, a friend or a mentee, and they're asking you, what should I do? How do I really build a life in this environment?
Mm.
What's your advice? What skills should I be developing as a younger guy?
Yeah.
Uh, Things that AI can't replace or won't replace, and kind of what are the mindset shifts or other types of viewpoint shifts that I need to make in order
Yeah.
to make this turn out in a positive way for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's where older generations have an advantage right now, because you just have years under your belt that you can draw from. You have judgment, and you can use that in this new era. I think that's a part where, how do we help someone's fresh out, 20 something? They don't
Yeah.
have 20 plus years, 20 plus working years under their belt. Um, I'm going to probably just sort of repeat some of the things we've already said, but I honestly, I would encourage them to really focus on the human side, like build your communication skills, find real mentors, people who can speak into your life, who you can work with. If
Yeah.
you can do, this is kind of saying what I was earlier, just in a different way. If you're able to do your job by locking yourself in a closet with a laptop, that's the person I'm concerned about. That
Right.
job is going away. That is right now. It's evaporating. And so being able to communicate strongly, being able to learn true critical
Yeah.
thinking, evaluation, um, using your human judgment. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think those are some of the things that sort of come to mind. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard some of the AI gurus and some of the business leaders and gurus out there on the internet saying, "Hey, this AI thing is totally new. I don't care if you're 25. I don't care if you're 65.
Mm,
It's all new. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows how to handle any of this." And if that person, and I'm thinking of one guy in particular, if I was sitting down across the table from him with a cup of coffee, I would say, "Sir, I beg to differ." And that's part of what we're trying to do here at Graybeard Radio is really
mm,
prep and and help older guys understand the world from this new world that's coming,
mm-hmm.
and it's coming, and there's no way any of us can really do anything about it. But to kind of use what we have developed over decades of experience, crystallized intelligence that we've developed, and really uh, bring that out and put that into a kind of a formula or a way of connecting with younger guys and maybe putting some context around everything that's going on. Yes, it's probably bigger than anything that we've seen so far, but there were factories and locomotive, and there was television and radio and television, and then there was the internet, and uh, there's always been technological change, and somehow we've managed to adapt
Yeah.
and continue to develop and progress, and a lot of that, I think, at this point in time, this experience and wisdom and crystallized intelligence that older folks have, I think is really, really, it's that valuable human
Mm,
to human commodity
mm,
or human to human perspective that we have. I think that is going to be helpful. So part of what we're trying to do here is help to kind of draw that out in older guys and equip us and prepare us a little bit
yeah.
better
Yeah.
in connecting and mentoring and just being there for younger generations.
Yeah.
So
I,
yeah, so shifting lanes here just a little bit. So let's go back just a little bit. You grew up in a missionary community. You went to boarding school. You experienced strong communities. And we talked about this a little bit, but how important is connection and community in navigating all of these challenges, including the AI challenge? And maybe the part of the problem is, I think, with some of this at least, and I think you referred to this as we're measuring like success, maybe using outdated metrics. How should young men in particular think about what a successful life actually looks like? Is it going to look different in 2030 than it did in 2015? Or are some of the same values and same themes and same metrics that have been there for thousands of years
right.
still going to be there?
Yeah, yeah, good. That's a great question. I think, I mean, the short of it, yes, there will still be, to your point, right, thousands of years. I think someone framed it like this. I think this is probably true. This is essentially like Industrial Revolution version 2, right? 2.0.
Yeah.
Not that it's better. It's just we are in a transition phase now. And just like back then, there was a lot of fallout that took place. There were people who lost jobs. There were things that it's that painful time when something is transitioning to something new. But what came out of that was an abundance of more jobs and more opportunities for people, especially entrepreneurs. Now you could
Yeah.
do things that just were impossible beforehand. That's what's going to happen with this. I'm convinced of that. AI, we are in the, the scary sort of
Yeah.
transition phase right now, and so that's the message I'm wanting younger generation, or even older generations, to understand as well as what's happening here. Um, you know, I'll give you a quick story. This is a little bit of a tangent, but um, just because I'm sort of a bit of a bridge right now between experimenting um, as a dad and as a someone
Yeah.
who isn't completely technical, right? But I run technical teams. I'm at the forefront of this technology. Um, I recently went to the beach, and I was just sitting on the beach with my phone. I had my OpenClaw set up at home. I was able to
Oh, yeah.
dictate feature requests to an app I'm building on the
Okay.
beach, send
Oh,
that off, and then within minutes, OpenClaw sent back a new version of my app with those features that I was able to test on the beach, like
yeah.
in within minutes. And that to me is like this is what's happening. Like this will unlock so much opportunity. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you have an idea, the barrier of entry to some of this is really dropping, and that's going to
Yeah.
become table stakes. That is really exciting.
Yeah, it is. And in my own personal experience and why I've been so excited and continue to be excited about AI in my limited knowledge and use of it so far, what I what I feel like it's done for me and some of the specialty AI agent and platforms that I use beyond the regular the well-known LLMs is I just feel like it has enhanced my creativity,
Mm-hmm.
speed to completion, of
Yeah.
course, and speed to iteration, but really enhanced my creative ability. And I've found that I really enjoy it. And yes, all of the stuff that we hear about AI is true with respect to kind of it always agreeing with you unless you know tell unless you tell it otherwise. Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, no, that new idea. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, all of that is true, but I think in large part my experience has been it's really kind of uh, lifted my level of creativity and ability to just field new ideas and try them out quickly and find out whether they're good ideas or not, whether I really like this new path that I've kind of designed either for a project or in some other aspect. Um, So yeah, that's been my personal experience. It's certainly not at the corporate level, but at a personal level. And it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. For as challenging and as scary as some of this might seem, I think for just the everyday sort of layperson like myself, it's been a
Yeah.
creativity enhancer, and it's been a lot of fun. Um, so all of this is very challenging territory. And you touched on this a little bit, but just if you would have just expand and maybe button it up for us. So, where do you find hope in all of this, and what really makes you optimistic about the future, not just for young men, but for sort of all of us in the job market and as individual human beings, and about the future for the next generation. So, what are your thoughts on hope in all of this?
Well, my gut answer here is, and I won't go into details here, but my faith obviously plays a huge part in how I conduct myself, how
Yeah.
I see the future, what I'm anticipating. That's a huge part, and so
Yes.
I have to mention that. That's certainly where my core hope comes from. Uh,
Hmm.
I, Beyond that, I would say to kind of share some of the things we've already been talking about. There are historical patterns that I think we need to pay attention to. It's not
Yeah.
um, this is not necessarily a unique scenario we're finding ourselves in. There are absolutely elements of it that are unique,
Yeah.
but history, what did they say? History rhymes, or it doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, kind of thing.
Yes.
We go through
Yeah.
these cycles, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just so helpful to go back, read read your history books, and read about those transition periods that were hard, and how did we survive that as a humanity. We did it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And somehow we've all survived as the human race. In many cases, thanks to the grace of God, in my view.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So we have two signature questions we ask everyone, but I'm going to modify them a little bit for you. You're a very special guest here, Erik, and as such, you get modified signature questions. So if you could talk to 20-year-old Erik, knowing how the world is changing, what would you tell him to focus on and what to ignore? I think that's important, especially in this noisy world of social media and all of the different opportunities that, and other things to shiny objects to draw our attention. Not only what to focus on, but what to ignore.
Okay, I'll get vulnerable here. I would say, if I were to go back, and I would tell myself, stop worrying about what you don't know. I have always struggled with imposter syndrome. If I could just sort of say that directly, like, just don't, like, things are going to change. People aren't going to know all the things. People never know all the things.
And a big, maybe not a big secret for people that know me, but I had the same thing. I'm in my early 60s, for crying out loud, and I have the same imposter syndrome. Not all the time. I've learned, but yeah. So, anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. What was it? Stop, start, continue. Essentially, I think is what you were sort of getting at. I've always wanted to continue to put relationships over credentials. I've never necessarily been someone who's trying to climb the corporate ladder per se, but more than ever now, I think the relational aspect is so important for us to continue to move forward. That's something I would want to remind myself of, is like, keep doing this. Ask for help, that's something I would tell myself too. And just keep caring for people. Trying to see, let me make sure I answered that for you though. What were the ones?
You sure did. Closing question number 2.
Okay.
So there's a 23-year-old guy that's listening right now. He's anxious, a little uncertain, maybe feeling lost. What do you want him to know?
You're not alone. Everyone is going through this right now. And I think especially the challenges that you're facing, there are so many right around you that are feeling the same challenges. Get out there, put yourself out there, find a partner, find someone to love, to start a family. if that's in, in your desire, listen to that, pay attention to that. And be thinking about dream big. I guess maybe that's such a cliche thing to say, but I do feel that now, especially because of the barrier that I'm saying is coming down, you will be able to, if you allow yourself, you'll be able to accomplish and build things that I only wished I could have done at your age.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I'll just add my own little twist onto what you said, is that, I think as a 23, 25, 27-year-old younger guy, there are instincts that are just built into our DNA to do certain things, to build certain things, to connect with other people, to be a part of a tribe, to have a mission, something that is bigger than ourselves, that we're serving and that we're collectively working towards. There are, for many people, leadership opportunities. There's connection opportunities, obviously, with the opposite sex, to to go into family formation and so forth, like Erik has said, I don't think any of it is, we shouldn't shy away or feel guilty or question any of it. It's how God made us, and it's how we're really meant to be. So I would just encourage any young guy that's out there listening to any of this and has gotten anything from this, that what Erik is saying, I believe, is 100% right on. That our instincts are there for a reason, and we need to think about how it is that we can live into them. So, Erik, this has been a hugely important conversation, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. How can people find you? Where can people find you? Follow your work, anything that you're doing, or anything that you want to pitch or promote right now, or maybe just even some social media pages, whatever you like.
Yeah, that's great. I don't have a huge social media presence, but if you want, you can check out the app I was telling you about earlier. Shelf-checkout.com is a site that I've recently built, and it's an iOS app right now. It is directed at parents, but for readers. But really, it's anyone who likes to read. It helps you. It's using AI to give you a hyper-personalized view into what the book is about, so that you're spending your time spending your time wisely. There are too many books out there in this world to be able to read. So that's one thing. Otherwise, you can find me also. Raleigh Awesome is my handle. One word. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter there. But yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So that was shelf-checkout.com.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm gonna go take a look at that.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. Erik Newby, Red Hat, thank you so much. My neighbor and my new friend right down the road in Raleigh here. Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us today. And we'll see everyone on the next episode. We've got some really, really good stuff coming up. You don't want to miss these guys. I'm telling you, I'm really dialing in now. We're really getting this dialed in, and they're getting good. If you didn't hear the one with Ron Higgs that we did the other day, it was fantastic. We had such a good time, and you'll enjoy it thoroughly. So until next time, I'm Matt Hempel with Graybeard Radio, signing off. Take care. All right.